Hey everybody, it's Mallory, your host of The Stare Down, and I have a great episode for you today. I teamed up with Greg and TD from the other sports podcast on the Alabama Take Network, Takin on Sports. And we all sat in our prospective homes, watched the ESPN selection show for the college football playoffs today. And so we recorded. You get to hear our reactions as they're happening. And oh my gosh, you all probably know by now what happened, but those two guys are huge Bama fans. I obviously just wanted my Rebels to make a New Year's Six. All three of us somehow got our wishes, but it wasn't as easy for any of us. I think there was some relief on their side, some surprise, but not really on mine. And at the end of the day, just a whole lot of thoughts on what's wrong with the system as we have it now, how we don't even know that going to 12 is going to truly fix it, and yeah, just some real life commentary. So, you know what to do. It's time to sit back, relax, grab a drink or two, and listen to The Stare Down and a crossover with Takin on Sports.
Welcome everybody to a joint special edition of Takin on Sports and The Stare Down. I am TD, that's Greg, and that's Mallory. How are y'all doing this morning?
A little nervous, but doing good.
I'm ready for some chaos to ensue because you know it's going to happen.
I'm joining Greg in the nervous ranks. I'm not sure. I don't know. It's just... It seems really weird to leave out a top or undefeated Power 5 conference champ in Florida State, and I don't think that they're leaving out Texas. But then again, the committee has said in the past that they're here to find the 4 best teams and not the 4 most deserving teams. So I have no idea what's about to happen. But we are here with y'all literally live. It is 11 a.m. Central Time. All 3 of us have the TV on ESPN right now. We're going to watch this selection show live with y'all. I think I read that they will actually give us the selections at about quarter after. So we have about 15 minutes to kill before then. We'll pay attention to it. But so I guess we can just start. So it seems like we already have our predictions. We talked about it on there. I think we get left out. I think it's Michigan, Washington, Florida State, Texas. Greg, same thing, sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, just because no matter how you look at it, a Power 5 undefeated team, it's hard to jump them, regardless of what we think about them right now and their situation. They still won the ACC, still undefeated. It's hard to keep them out.
And, I think, guys, I would love to agree with you on that. I think deep down, this is kind of why we went away from the BCS, right? Because you wanted that eye test and you wanted those things where maybe the BCS would have weighted a little bit of a strength of schedule or something like that heavier in favor of putting in, a Bama, but you really wanted an undefeated conference champion in there. But I think here, the eye test, the fact that they can look at injuries, I just don't think you can overcome that. I think that if you take Washington, Michigan, or even Texas, and you put them up against Florida State right now, I think they just get blown out. And I think the committee knows that. So I think Bama sneaks in, and I think Texas gets to be sad at home, and Florida State too.
Wait, so...
Oh, I'm sorry. No. Texas and Bama get in.
Okay.
Florida State gets to go be sad at home. Sorry.
I was like, wait a minute. I thought maybe you were calling for the ultimate chaos. I thought you were saying
no.
State
No,
sneaking
sorry.
in. Yeah. Oh.
No, sorry, guys. I got distracted by what was on TV. I was distracted by Jordan throwing his crutch up in the air, and my total bad on that one. But yeah, no, I think you have I think the committee puts you in there to possibly having a Texas, Alabama rematch in the championship game if true chaos ensues within the top four.
Yeah, I think they would avoid the rematch in the semis, and you see something like Michigan, Bama, Washington, Texas.
Yeah, I could see that. But man, Washington to me should scare everybody right now.
I agree.
Washington's a heck of a team.
I was talking to my dad on the phone after the game yesterday, and he was saying he thinks Texas might actually be the best team in the country, which I support. I couldn't support that argument. They're playing as well as anybody.
They are playing well.
But Washington, I was like, I think I'd worry about them the most because they just find ways to win, and they're a tough team. And it's those tough teams. It's like in the NFL when you hear teams are built for January, like those are the teams you don't want to play. And
but you could make that same argument for Bama right now. Bama's made for the playoffs. And you want to talk about finding a way to win. 4th and 31, anybody?
Yeah. I mean, there you go. Yeah.
But I mean, just the fact that, for me, just Washington, I mean, no one really thought they were winning Friday night beside them. I mean, Vegas didn't think so. No one thought they were winning that rematch on a neutral field. And really, for a while, I mean, they're blowing Oregon out. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, yeah, they started, and they were not just blowing them out. They were running all over them. They were doing what everyone thought Oregon was going to do. I don't know if I've ever seen the odds makers look dumber than that 9-10 point line in Oregon's favor.
Yeah, we said that last week. Like, what is this line?
Yeah, we did. We looked it up. Yeah, when we were recording last week, and saw that's way too big, and
it didn't move at all. That was a weird thing too. Like, I would have believed it.
And a point or so. I think at one point it might have been 10, and then it finished at 9. I know myself, Mallory, and Blaine all took Washington in the column, and that was the easiest pick in that whole thing.
Money.
Oh yeah, that would to me was the easiest.
December for college football, or late November is the hardest time to get easy money against Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they just gave us it with that. But yeah, you said something earlier I want to go back to while we're waiting here. We mentioned the BCS. So there's a growing sentiment, I think, online that people miss the BCS. Where do y'all fall in that? Mallory, do you miss the BCS at all?
I do. What I miss about it is it's a mathematical equation, right? It's you input this, you get this out. And I don't think that there was ever really any true controversy in terms of what I can remember that led to something like what we're about to see here, where somebody is going to be left out and be so upset about it. Like you would have had all of your conference champions there and that kind of thing. And people would have been like, the only thing they would have been like is, oh, well, take the eye test. All right, cool. But if you have, 4 undefeated teams, the 4 undefeated teams are going to get into your top 4 slots. What I ultimately wish for, though, is that we could have taken the BCS with a committee and kind of had a hybrid. But I don't think there's any way to do that. Or if there is someone who's very smart who can figure it out, hadn't figured it out yet.
No, there's absolutely a way to do that because college basketball does it. And they did it with the RPI and whatever new formula they use. They have a human selection committee, but a rankings-based thing that they use not as like a, kind of biblical end-all be-all text, but they do, hey, this is our best tool. And in doubt, we kind of go to this and be like, oh, this team's 20 spots higher, then they deserve to get in the at-large, And I think you nailed it. They missed a chance when they first made the playoff to be like, we're keeping the BCS rankings around, but we're going to have a selection committee to debate things like injuries and strength of schedule, what have you.
And I think originally people didn't like the BCS because they wanted a playoff with more than just 2 teams. I think that was the biggest thing. I remember way long before any of that, I had to do a speech in like 10th grade. Well, not 10th grade, soon. Sophomore year of college, talking about, it was a persuasive speech, and mine was about why the NCAA should use the BCS system, but change their playoff and use the rankings and build a playoff map like that. And I thought that was the perfect way to do it because it keeps the human bias element out of it, but it allows teams that rightfully should be in the playoff get into the playoff and play each other. So.
Yeah. And I think they missed opportunities there because when we were in school back then, I think same thing. I came up with a playoff system. It was basically this. It was 16 teams, every conference champ gets in, and there's 5 at larges because there were 11 conferences in. And so you had your conference champs in, and then 5 at larges, which I thought was more than enough, but everybody's happy. You play on campus, blah, blah, blah. And back then it could have worked because the gap between the power conferences and the mid majors and smaller guys wasn't nearly as astronomical as it is now. I mean, evidenced by like Boise State, what they did in the BCS in their run, you know. But yeah, one thing I find interesting about the BCS love all of a sudden is that people are acting like, well, it got it right most of the time. I think the only time the BCS really got it right is when the answer was obvious. There was 2 unbeaten teams and then no one else, you know, like, okay, yeah. Or there was an unbeaten team, a 1-loss team, and then a bunch of 2-loss teams or something. But when it was bad, it was bad. I mean, 2001, you know, we had, it was that the year that Oklahoma was in, right? And then you had Florida State, which had 1 loss, to Miami, which had 1 loss, to Washington, who had 1 loss, and they picked Florida State, Miami, which was and Washington beat Miami, and they picked Florida State, and that obviously was the wrong choice because that the worst BCS title game of all time, 13-2, 13-2, right. 2. Yeah. Florida State got their give them their safety, Greg.
Yeah, give them their credit.
Yeah, and we still had. Well, in the BCS, I'll let you guys go, but the BCS 2, the whole point of it was to crown one champion and we still had split titles during the BCS era. So that's why I always go back to
LSU and USC.
USC, yeah. Yes. I'm like, no, it didn't work. Then if we bring on this system, it didn't work, you know. And
yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? Even then, you know, of course, from our opinion, 2011, we were definitely should have been in the because we're Bama fans, but. I mean, you look at like Oklahoma State and everybody else that we benefited from losing that last weekend. I mean, they had just as rightful of a thing as we did as far as getting in that national title game. And that was kind of the final straw for the BCS. After that, they were, well, we're definitely moving to the playoff.
Yeah, and I think, too, you know, the thing that always got me about the BCS, but I don't think we've seen anything different from this, and I think this is where everybody truly started getting kind of upset as you got into like the 07-08 years is like Mac Brown at Texas. He was lobbying for votes. Well, what is him lobbying for votes any different than Greg Sankey coming out and saying like leaving an SEC team out of the top 4 is a travesty and it doesn't happen? Like that's the exact same thing. It's just it like that. And I think that's probably the thing that like people were that the things that people were mad about with the BCS, they're still mad about now. So, you know, I think, you know, No, but it all goes back to, look, hey, let's get your speech up online from your sophomore year of college because you're right. And, you know, I mean, and, you know, TD, you nailed it too. We do it in the NCAA for March Madness. So, yeah, I understand it. That's way more teams. But, a thing that just popped up on the screen was when you're looking at Georgia, their key wins are Ole Miss and Missouri. Okay, well, if you've followed anything I've said, Ole Miss and Missouri, I can argue Ole Miss would be ranked higher than Missouri because our 2 losses were to Bama and Georgia, the 2 teams who you're going to try and decide to put into the top 4, maybe, from the SEC. Missouri's losses are to LSU at home that Ole Miss beat, and then Georgia. So how do you rank Missouri ahead of us? That's what I don't understand. And again, it goes kind of back to that. It's like, you know, I'm sure there is some lobbying behind the scenes within the SEC offices to get Greg to go to the committee for that. But I mean, you're always going to have things like that. But if you do have just the true computer rankings that spit it out, I mean, come on, y'all, we have computers that can put, you know, people on the moon. You can figure out who the top 12 teams are based on that, and then narrow it down to the 4 by using the human eye factor if you really need to.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, that's. I mean, we've already said it. Yeah, the best system would be keep a BCS style rankings, you know, and that's what you talk about every Tuesday instead of that's another thing. The committees, one of the dumbest things they do, and I know they do it because ESPN probably asked them to, and they want the ratings and whatnot, but is that they release weekly rankings because all they do is subject themselves to this. So if Bama jumps in now, they're going to jump at least 4 spots in the rankings, and people are going to be mad about that. Or if we remember the first year when Baylor was in the the second to last rankings and then got jumped over by Ohio State, and everyone's like, well, how? What did they do? Ohio, blah 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 blah. Again, the committee could just get rid of all this if they just said, we have a committee, we're watching it. These are the BCS rankings every week, but that's not the end all be all. ESPN could still have their show every week and talk about the rankings, but then the committee could just come out and say, these are our 4 teams. They wouldn't even have to seed them.
Exactly.
When you have a 14 playoff seeding, it's kind of silly anyway. Just get that. Let's be honest. What do we want? What does everybody in the world, college football world, want right now? They want Michigan and Washington to be in the Rose Bowl. They want that final grand old Big Ten, Pac-10, Rose Bowl. Yeah. But if you do the rankings, that means that like Texas, one loss Texas, or if Alabama gets in, they're going to have to like play around these rankings and make them funky, which is why, I don't know, it's a whole thing. Which is why if Florida State gets in, then they can't be ranked 4th, but Texas 3rd, because you're telling us that it's important that they're unbeaten in a conference champ. Well, then that means that they need to be the 3rd place team, and we need to have like Michigan, Texas,
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it is kind of the same thing. Like, okay, so, I've seen a bunch, and again, we all know I'm an Ole Miss homer here, but, the sentiment has been, so if you do that, then you're saying like, oh, it's okay if you still schedule cupcakes because you can still get in. But, then Texas, who didn't schedule an out-of-conference cupcake, and Bama, that obviously helps. But it's like, but then you look at the Missouri, Ole Miss, and they didn't play Tulane like we played. And granted, Tulane lost yesterday. Now, SMU's playing some phenomenal football right now. But Tulane to go only 2 losses and one of them being in the championship game, like that's big. Like that's really big for them. And we went on the road and beat them there. So, yeah, I think, man, I'm so ready for 12 teams. That's all I can say. Like, and you can't, and I'm tired of the argument of, oh, you can't make these college kids play as many games as they do in the NFL. Well, you basically are at this point. And as soon as they leave college, they're going to go do it. And you mean to tell me physically in 1 year, they gain that much to play 2 or 3 extra games? No, not at all. Not with the way stuff's set up now.
Because the champion plays, 15 games right now. The NFL season has 2 more games. Yeah. So.
That's it.
And then we look at our lower divisions where they have a 24-team playoff.
And
those
no
guys
one has
play
ever
like
batted.
15,
No one has ever batted an eye at that ever.
Not a single word. Yeah, not a single word. No.
Hey,
if anything,
UNA
it's always
grad
been,
here.
how come? If anything, it's always been, why haven't the power conferences moved to this format years ago?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which I mean, good choice. Like I said, I think that time is gone now. I don't think you can have a playoff where the SEC champ and the MAC champ are in the same thing. I think that the resources are just too wide now. I've said it for years now that I think the best thing to do would be to trim down the FBS level to be like find it somewhere around 80 to 100 teams to be like this is it. This is whatever metrics you need to do. This is the threshold for what it should be. Teams like, like in Eastern Michigan, not to call them out. Sorry, any, I don't even know what you guys are. Eagles? I don't know. Sorry, any Eastern Michigan fans. But, like your resources just aren't there compared to, a Georgia, an Ole Miss, and Alabama. Like it's not the same level of football. It's like if soccer, if you asked, okay, well, we're going to have Manchester City play the second tier champion, and that decide. Well, guess what? That second tier champion's never beat Manchester City.
Right.
But yeah, that's I think I've kind of lost my point now, but I'm rambling.
No.
But
I want to make a point off of what you just said, because I think this is kind of I think we're all talking towards the same thing, right? And I think this is kind of where it's fun to go watch like Twitter and all of that and see. I refuse to call it X, by the way. But I think it's fun to go watch Twitter and all of those things and see how everybody's talking the same thing and people start arguing over it. And I'm like, guys, y'all are talking about the same thing. But to me, what this does is this just proves the point that I have said since we started seeing conference realignment with Oklahoma and Texas kind of being those first 2 dominoes. I have said since then, you're going to end up with 4 major conferences. And within those, you're going to have 4 divisions. So you're basically going to look like an expanded NFL. And I just did the math with my calculator because it's too early to do it in my head. 6 teams in each of those 4 divisions within those 4 conferences gives you 96 teams. Done. There you go.
Yeah. There's going to be that's what it's leading toward. And another product here, is depending on what this result is, if Alabama gets left out for Florida State, what you're essentially telling, and granted, Florida State's played a great schedule, but if Alabama gets left out because they have the loss, is more the better thing to say here, then you're going to see ADs start canceling all these premier out of conference games because it tells you that it doesn't matter that you're playing a strong schedule, which in the past the committee has said is very important.
Right.
But if a team like Michigan, who schedules like
Cupcake.
UNLV, Northwestern Michigan State School for the Blind, all these just horrible out of conference schedules. Granted, UNLV had a good year, good for them.
Yeah.
But still, you're going to stop seeing these games, or until, like Mallory says, there's just a complete break off and then the formation of a new Premier League type level of college football, where all these teams just play each other the whole time.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, like I've already looked ahead to Ole Miss's schedule next year. We play Furman. So, you're going to see Keith Carter start scheduling Furman instead of Tulane.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You're also going to start seeing teams like Florida State saying, bye ACC, because, to that point, if Ole Miss and Bama and Georgia have to play Texas and Oklahoma and LSU every year, why the hell are we going to go get ourselves beat up by playing Florida State out of conference? No, let's save it for the playoffs. We're not going to kill ourselves that way in the regular season.
Yep.
Yeah,
and that's also why the SEC has never moved to 9 games, because what's the point? If you can get into the playoff with 8, why risk that 9th when no one else is doing it? It's not universal. So,
although it should be noted, Nick Saban is one of the very vocal proponents of.
He's been like that forever.
Games. Yeah, 9 games, and he also believes that only Power 5 teams should only play other Power 5 teams, which I'm not wholly on board with, because I love college football, and part of college football is because we see stuff like App State upset Michigan, or
New Mexico State walking into Jordan-Hare the weekend before the Iron Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's what college football, and that's the problem with even my suggestion of going down. Oh, here we go. We're going. Number 1, Michigan, to be expected.
Yeah.
No arguments there. Granted, a weak schedule, like we said, but
they handle business.
Exactly. They handle their business. Yeah.
And I definitely, once we see all of these, I do want to come back to Michigan, because do you put an asterisk next to them if they win it because of all the stuff with Harbaugh this year?
I wouldn't.
I don't think you can, because again, along with the injuries, they also get to look at coaching issues as well. And he sat out 6 games and they still went and destroyed everybody. Now, whether it was a cupcake or not, it doesn't matter. They still took care of business.
Yeah.
They beat Penn State and Ohio State without Jim Harbaugh on the sideline, for whatever that's worth.
Yeah. And honestly, to me, that's just good coaching during the week.
Oh, the Huskies number 2, so we will not get a Michigan-Washington Rose Bowl. Interesting.
Y'all, this is where I just got nervous for my Florida State friend and all my Bama friends. Because one group's about to be really upset.
I'm guessing 3 is going to be Texas here.
I think so too.
Regardless of if Florida State's in or not, I think
3 is Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But then that just kills your whole thing all season.
Yeah, if you put Texas at 3 and then Florida State at 4, then you have no idea what your actual metrics are. You're just picking teams out of your ass.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's not what you said all this time.
Yeah.
I know.
And we didn't even mention during this whole thing Kirby Smart lobbying too. And he was saying, if it's 4 best teams, not 4 most deserving, then if you're talking 4 best teams, here's Texas at 3. Then if we're talking 4 best teams, then Georgia should probably be in this too. But that's a different argument. All right, let's see.
Oh God, y'all. Why am I so nervous? It's not even any of my teams and I'm nervous.
Shot of the Texas players. They're excited. They knew you were getting in. Come on, you guys.
Come on, y'all.
You guys are there.
So we're getting a Washington-Texas semifinal. That'll be a good one.
That's like a great
I'm excited for that.
They just played last year, didn't they?
Did they?
Did they?
Like a Holiday Bowl or something?
I swear they played in the Holiday Bowl.
Oh no. One of the best Holiday Bowls of all time, though, that major Applewhite comeback win way back in the day. Texas, Washington. Here we are, our 4th spot. Or are they going to give us 6 first? They're going to give us 6 first to really tease it out.
They're
Which
gonna
I
go
would
as long as they
imagine be
can with this.
Georgia.
And you're correct. They played Washington in the Alamo Bowl last year.
Okay.
Oh, God. Now we're going to. Hey, look, Ole Miss is on the 2 as key wins against Bama and Georgia. Y'all, that's all I can hope for is my Rebels up there at least doing something that means something. That'll make Lane Kiffin so happy.
If anything, Florida State should not be picked based on how god-awful that ACC title game was last night. And granted, I know you're down to your third-string quarterback, but good Lord.
But
credit to Florida State's defense.
How would Louisville get to 10-2 with that? Like, my goodness.
I know.
I think
which just to me shows
how weak the ACC actually was this year.
I think so too, y'all, because we all thought Clemson was going to make a run.
And then the ACC there. 6.
I mean, there was Florida State, and then there was nobody.
Yeah, they're going to give us number 6 first.
Yeah.
Georgia at 6. Okay. Well, that's good too because a lot of people were afraid too that Ohio State was somehow still going to be in this mix, and I was just like, no way.
No, there's no way.
Get the hell out of here. Yeah. Like their best wins were what? Notre Dame and
I think you put Florida State at 5 and you put Bama at 4. And I think it's just based off of that strength of schedule that we just saw.
I hope you're right.
I think that's what happens. And I think Florida State fans are about to be.
Oh, Greg's ahead of us.
Greg's ahead of us. I think that means I was right. I think that means I was right, y'all.
Alabama in. Oh
my God. Y'all.
Ooh, Florida State Twitter going to be mad.
My next door neighbor, JJ's going to be mad.
This is epic. I love it.
Holy shit.
Oh, man.
Florida State. We have to put explicit on this episode because of that. Oh,
Florida
my God,
State.
y'all.
First undefeated Power 5 champ not to be in.
Oh, buddy.
Alabama gets in.
Whoa.
Again, if you're talking 4 best teams, Florida State without Jordan Travis is not one of them. If they had Jordan Travis, this wouldn't be. I don't even think this is an argument. Jordan Travis is still
on the 4 best teams, they got it right. Mm-hmm. If Jordan Travis is there, we're out. As simple as that.
Yeah, I agree. So it looks all right.
I think
here.
even
Michigan,
if they look
Alabama,
better,
and the Rose Bowl.
I think even if Rodemaker played yesterday, they probably still get it.
All right. So I'm going to say this. I know a bunch of my friends are going to be very, very happy, but roll MFing Tide against Michigan, y'all. Let's go. Let's go, Bama.
Harbaugh Saban. Boy, that's
Let's
there we
go. I will be wearing some. I'll be wearing some crimson and white that day because I can't stand Harbaugh.
A Rose Bowl matchup too, a classic.
Wow!
The granddaddy of them all.
Yeah.
Y'all have chills. Like I'm not even kidding. Like I have chills. Like I cannot wait for January 1st.
This should be an epic playoff. I mean, you have Michigan, Alabama, just the history of both the programs, 2 of the winningest programs of all time, in the Rose Bowl. I mean, it doesn't get bigger than that. And then on the other game, I mean, you got Washington, Texas. I mean, been in the top the whole season. It doesn't get better than what we have. Might be the best playoff we've
ever had. I think it is because, and we've said it all along this whole time we've been talking. These are the 4 best. These are the 4 teams that are hitting on every single cylinder. And I think, I text Corey Hanna, which I know y'all know Corey, but I texted him last week and I was like, look, championship teams find a way to win. And like I said, Bama did it. 4th and 31 against Georgia, basically on Georgia's home turf in the Georgia Dome or whatever they call it, the Mercedes-Benz, whatever that thing is now in Atlanta. And it's like, and they went in and did it.
It's Brian Denny.
It is.
Brian Denny East, that's right.
Man.
Wow, that is epic.
So, there it is. Alabama, Michigan in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day, followed by Washington and Texas in the Sugar Bowl that night.
And you're talking about ratings. I mean, Michigan fans, Texas fans, Bama fans, even the Washington has a good amount. I mean, those ratings are going to be through the roof. I mean, there's going to be... And the other thing, too, is even the teams that aren't affiliated, they can't say, the SEC got 2 win, we're not watching. People are going to watch this. Even if their team's not there because it's epic football.
Tell you what, this also tells me is that Florida State is going to be lobbying hard to get into the SEC now.
Oh, and they should.
Yeah. Because this is, you know what this is? This is 2 Big Ten teams and 2 SEC teams now.
Yep. Guys, I think we just saw the start of the toppling of the NCAA, going to that 4 and figuring it out that way. And I mean, like, I hate it. And I'm sure we could all talk for hours on this. I hate it for the Vanderbilts. I hate it for the Wake Forests of the world. But I think now you do start to see these powers. I mean, in 10 years, we're not even going to know. Like, go buy your SEC merch now without Texas and Oklahoma on it, and you can show your grandkids.
They would have been the 3 seed. If
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Travis is healthy, then the 3 seed. Texas is the 4.
But
Heck,
like
they
you
might
said,
even be the
the
2
injury
seed right
matters.
now.
Jordan Travis is healthy. This is Florida State is in, no question. I don't think, we even worry about it.
Because if...
Yeah. And again, this surprises me.
They're going to try to...
Well, actually, not really, but
that's what they hope.
Again, I said the seeding is dumb in a 14 playoff.
In
you
Houston,
would have thought
too?
that maybe Michigan, Washington, and the Rose Bowl is what they wanted, but then you would have
it's going to be so many Texas fans. Like, they would.
They don't want to schedule that
rematch.
Yeah, if that rematch is going to happen, they want it in the title game. Yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, Texas. I mean, no.
Y'all, you could play these games in Japan, and Bama fans would find a way to make it there.
Yeah,
like,
just because.
But same with Texas.
Because it's.
I mean,
I was about to say you mentioned Houston, but
and then on top
New
of
Orleans ain't that far away from Austin. That Sugar Bowl is going to be.
It may not be as bad as if like Bama were in
80-20
because
Texas
prices are through the roof, but it's still pretty expensive. The average Washington fan is not going to be able to get the tickets, the flying tickets, the game tickets, the hotel. Like, that gets pricey real quick these days. Yeah. And plus, that's a drive away. I mean, you're driving to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well, and you got Texas oil money.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that it's been since our national title game against Texas.
Yeah, that secondary ticket market's going to be real expensive. First crazy. Texas playoff appearance, big-time Sugar Bowl, a game that actually means something. Woo.
I can't even imagine what these Rose Bowl tickets are going to go for. Oh.
I know.
It's insane, yeah.
You know what?
Well, yeah, there you see it, folks. Oh, man, yeah.
I'm going Bama, Washington. I've been on Washington's bandwagon. CD can
Bama over Michigan.
I jumped off for a week.
Texas over Washington. I think we get the rematch.
I'm sorry, Mike. I'm back on. Right. Bama, Washington, national title game.
Oh. That's true. That's a tough one. Texas is just playing so well.
We've seen this movie before.
I think I have to go Bama, Texas as well, the rematch.
So I love how none of us are giving Michigan a shot here.
Michigan,
and I don't
absolutely slaughtered.
Too damn slow. We've seen this. We saw this not 4 years ago in the Citrus Bowl with Mac Jones, who hadn't even he had started one game at that point, the Iron Bowl. Came in and dissected that Michigan secondary.
If JJ beats us,
I don't see a reason why
somehow JJ beats us with his arm, then we deserve to lose. But I have confidence that that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and I think this team, maybe Michigan's a little defensively better matched up. Yeah.
I agree.
Confidence.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, you want Milroe. I mean, look, him coming off the field at Auburn, screaming, "Give me the Heisman." He doesn't deserve the Heisman. I think everybody knows that. But you want him having that kind of confidence right now. And your team, Bama is just so confident. So confident. Bama losing early every year should make every other team so scared.
Yeah.
And it just proved why. They just proved why. Dang, y'all. I'm just like, this is insane.
That is indeed
Yeah,
here.
sure.
All right.
Let's knock it out.
All right. Now we have a decision to make. Do we want to end it here? Mal or Greg, do you want to go ahead and just do our quick full episode real quick? At least talk about the games yesterday? Yeah?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. Hey, well, then let's do it here. A full, not just a quick episode, but a full. So we just got our reactions. Let's talk about yesterday then. We'll start with the big one, the SEC title game, Alabama 27, Georgia 24. Early on, didn't look good for the Tide. Georgia marched right down the field, scored. Alabama offense looked a little overmatched early on, and then they turned it around, and Alabama was, I think, the much better team for most of the game. I'll give Georgia fans a fair credit because Alabama fans say it about the title game a couple years ago. If Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey are 100%, does Georgia win? Mal, I'll go to you first.
I think you don't see as many mistakes as you did, but I still think that Uncle Mo is on Bama's side right now. So I think maybe you end up with a 1-point win instead of a 3-point win. I think you end up with an overtime because, I mean, Brock Bowers, man, when he's healthy, I don't know that there's a better player in college football that can change an offense outside of maybe Michael Penix Jr. But I still just don't think. I think Bama's defense
that's why we
that nobody's
play the
giving
games.
any credit to. Bama's defense continues to find a way to make stops, and I think they would have found a way to make a stop even if he is 100%
We still
healthy.
had opportunities to win that game.
Greg?
We had some drop touchdowns. We were up in the fourth quarter. We could have won that game. So you could use it. Yes, it took change the game, but we still could have won that game. Georgia could have still won yesterday had things gone that way. That fumble doesn't happen. Maybe, they win. Same time, you look at it as well. We left plenty of points on the board as well. Milroe doesn't overthrow a couple of those after that fumble, and he overthrew in the back of the end zone. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of times we could have easily scored touchdowns. We got field goals. So we're looking at a completely different game. So, it's always a what if, and that's always fun to talk about. But the reality is, you play the game, you get your winners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. Like you said, it's fun to do what if. Yeah, if Jameson Williams and John Mechie play for Alabama a couple years ago, I think Alabama wins that game because Georgia didn't really have an answer for them deep. But we also played that game and Georgia won and deserved to win. Yesterday, two things about yesterday. One, they played. They were on the field. So if they're good enough to go on the field, then, hey, they played. Yeah. I've seen some people saying that maybe that was a fault in Kirby's and Mike Bobo's game plan was still relying on them, even though they weren't 100%. Well, again, you're on the field. But two, where I actually go to is I think Alabama, like y'all, still wins because that game was won at the line of scrimmage, and Alabama's lines won it.
They didn't do anything wrong. The ball they did what they had to do. They ran the table.
Their defensive line got pressure, and their defense made plays.
At the worst time of the season
reaction
possible.
shots from Florida State right now.
Well, they have every
do feel
right
bad
to
for
be
those
as mad
kids.
as they want to be. The fan base can be as mad as they want to be. If they don't want against them.
Yeah,
they did everything they could to be in the playoff. They won the Power 5 conference.
I'll go back to something too. They say this is a team game, and it is.
It's not, but it's ironic though that it took until the very final season to ever get that.
Yeah, I mean, until you go to a
2014, yes, you could have ordered.
Somebody was
Been mad
gonna
with the Baylor,
feel
TCU,
that way, and I hate
and
it for
Ohio
them.
State. But long term, of course, the Big Ten was going to jump a Big 12 without a
Yes,
Yeah.
playoff.
yes,
Without a championship game.
Uh,
That was going to happen. It's Ohio State. Of course, you're going to jump Baylor or TCU over. But Ohio State's going to jump Baylor and
mhm.
TCU even now. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's just the realities of the world we're in.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then no
especially
other time did
when
you
they
really
won
have any
59 to
real
nothing.
drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, last year the biggest drama was TCU or Alabama, and we knew we were. Most of us knew
Yeah.
It was fun to argue. Hey, we were better than TCU, and people genuinely felt that. However, those two losses, we weren't going to get in the playoff. Um, mm,
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm
Um, but yeah, still from yesterday's game, yeah, Jalen Milroe MVP deservingly.
Because
Like you
they
said, he
scored
missed a couple
really quick
throws in
after
there.
that.
Alabama had a couple opportunities to really put the game away. I actually, after they settled for the field goal after that fumble, I was starting to get real worried. I'm like, oh, that's one of those. I think, yeah, I think I even posted on like
hmm
Blue Sky or something. I'm like, if Georgia comes back and wins this game, then this is the moment right here when their defense held them to a field goal, because that would have been a 14-point lead, not 10, and that would have been huge. But Alabama won 30th SEC title, 3 of the last 4 SEC titles, which is kind of hilarious
hmm
for all the hand wringing and
And if
Alabama
they,
fans. You know, a lot of them doomsday. Saban's coming to the end of the
yeah,
run. Hey, three of the four,
as
three of
most
the last
people have
4 SEC
always
titles,
said,
8 of
this
the
Bama
last
team is
12.
terrible. They have a running back at
Rumors of
quarterback.
the Alabama dynasty demise
Their
are
offensive
greatly
coordinator is
exaggerated.
horrible. They have a Kevin Stills way past who he's supposed to be. He's not good anymore. It's the reason why he's been everywhere. Here we are. Here we are.
Yeah. I was about to say there are a lot of Bama fans, probably us to a little small degree too, but that after the Texas
Completely
and
different team.
USF games, that owe some apologies to Coach Saban,
Coming
Jalen
through.
Milroe, and some people. But I mean, also that team, you've heard it said that those are 2 different teams. That Alabama September and then Alabama yesterday. Yeah. All credit to the players for
A lot better.
adapting and coming through, maturing, and
hmm
progressing as the season went on. Shout out to Tommy Rees. He learned on the fly. He
Less than
got,
10
I
years
think, a
ago.
lot better as the year went on and actually game plan to his players' strengths. Not perfect. He still got learning to do as a play caller, but he's a young guy. I mean, hell, he was playing quarterback not a decade ago. Yeah, less than 10 years ago.
Mm. Florida State,
But
that
yeah,
defense is dominant. They
Well, how
were
about
good
your
all
Florida State
season, and
from
they
yeah.
yesterday?
Florida State
completely
ACC title game,
did
ugly. Defensive struggle.
it's nasty.
I don't even
Yeah, I
know.
mean,
Oh, that defensive line did criminal things to the Louisville offensive line yesterday.
Mhm.
Mal, what do you got to say about it?
man, I think I just pulled up the box score to look at when the scoring finally happened. You don't even get a field goal until 10 minutes in, or I'm sorry, 5 minutes into the second quarter. So you go look at that. You hold Florida State's defense holds Louisville scoreless until 8 minutes into the second
Mhm.
half, and then after
Mhm.
that, it was just I think Louisville just had enough. Um, yeah, Florida
Mhm.
State's defense, man, they did everything right. They did everything right. And, you know, defense wins you games. Defense wins you championships. Uh, everybody always wants to talk about offense. Offense is always the easy thing to talk about, right? But man, you're right. I think that defense of Florida State, they are so
Mhm.
overlooked, and
They're
you just
going
can't
to.
do that. And I think
if
Mike
they
Norvell,
continue on
honestly,
the level that they're
he's
at,
going
I
to
mean,
take
they're
this. He's going to
almost
use it in
getting to where
recruiting,
they
and
were
they're going to be
when
scary.
we
They're going to
where
be
we
scary
known Florida
next year.
State to be as we were
And I
kids
think we saw
in
why.
college growing up. I mean, Florida State was a perennial worst case scenario. They lose one and they're only out the title because Miami got in or Florida got in. They're almost back to that level, moving to the 12-team playoff. I mean, if they continue on the path that they're on, I mean, they're in almost every year, you would think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, sorry, TD, real quick. I'm pulling up team stats too. Florida State's defense held Louisville to 188 total yards on 28 and a half minutes of possession. 188 yards, y'all. That's insane.
And yeah, like I said, that defensive line was just outstanding last night. All credit to them.
For sure.
But saying that's an argument for Florida State staying in the ACC is you're pretty much almost guaranteed a berth as the champion
But
or
the
as
ACC,
a one loss at large out of that conference now.
But I would say
but of course,
Woodley said the
Texas
ACC
and
is a
Oklahoma in the Big
little
12.
bit
That didn't keep
smarter.
the Pac-12 alive.
They didn't get a stupid TV deal. At least they got some associate ACC network
TV
and some
money.
of everything
we talked
everybody
about that.
can get.
Yeah.
It's not some special, limited, only direct TV like with the Pac-12 thing. Like at least they have that some intelligence with how they structure their TV deal as far as everybody being able to get it. Because that Pac-12 was the worst media deal in history of media deals.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. So, TD, what do you think about yesterday outside of the defense for Florida State?
I think, I just think that was a rough game to watch. I think I tuned in for an ACC title game and a Big Ten game broke out. Mm-hmm. The defense is great. The Louisville played great too. All this praise for Mike Norvell, and he does. I agree. Florida State is, regardless of where they end up, ACC, SEC, whatever the new thing is called when all these leagues break apart from the NCAA anyway. Florida State's, they got their man. They're on the right track. You just keep putting money into that program, keep those resources and those facilities updated. They're going to be back to, at least in contention every year for the ACC and in the talk of this is a possible national title team every year. On the other sideline, disappointing into their, conference season, but that's a great 10 wins for a Louisville team that nobody expected. I don't remember where they were predicted to begin the year, but that is an outstanding
I thought
season.
they had
Louisville
the punt
has
when
their
they tackled
man,
the punter.
Jeff Brom.
I thought, wow, here we go.
To all my Louisville people back there, it sucks today because you had your shots. Louisville had their chances to win that game too. After that, yeah, when they jailbroke, they tackled the punter.
I mean,
it looked
their
like an
defense played
NFL
phenomenal
blitz
as
play.
well.
They just murdered the poor punter. Yeah, they got the ball at the 11-yard line. I thought this is it. Louisville's going to score a touchdown here, take the lead, and their defense is going to finish it off. But yeah, absolutely.
So the preseason poll for Louisville, they were 8th. It was Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, NC State, Miami, Duke and Pitt tied for 6th, Louisville, Wake, Syracuse, Tech, Virginia Tech, then Georgia Tech, Boston College, and Virginia.
Yeah. So hold your head up, Louisville fans, because you finally got your right guy, and he's going to get y'all back to
being a team you have to respect.
Maybe not ACC title game every year,
kind
but
of when they have,
I think 8-win floor is probably where Louisville should be at. Yeah. Let's see.
We kind of respected that.
Yeah. Let's move on to some other games real quick. Not make this too long. Blowout wins. Texas blew out Oklahoma State. I think everyone in the world saw that coming. Texas Texas was on the Michigan.
Imagine
I don't
if
think there's
Iowa
really
ever
anything
got
needs to
a
be said about that game.
just even a okay offense.
Michigan
They could be
easily
serious.
beat Iowa.
Because that defense
Same
has
thing.
been so good for so long.
I don't think
And you got to
anybody
think, I
really.
mean, and this, it's going to get tougher now, of course, with no more divisions. So, I mean, you can't sit in the skate
Yeah.
folks in the West
With
any
that
longer and
defense,
get to a
right.
championship game. But if they could get any semblance of an offense, they could be somewhat of a decent team. Who do they get? Yeah.
Well, I mean, they've already said that Baby Ferentz is not coming back as their offensive coordinator next year, so maybe we do see it next year, or at least see some improvement there. Well, they can have Charlie Weiss Jr. I'm more than happy to give him up.
But yeah,
I thought Toledo.
What other games we had? Miami, Ohio won the MAC. I'm sure none of us really know anything about that.
No, but that seemed to be a surprise, though, right?
But
because
they were playing
everything
without
I
their
saw, everybody
quarterback.
had Toledo was the
Toledo
favorite.
was a touchdown favorite, yeah. So that definitely was an upset.
The question I have now, though,
SMU upset
with
Tulane
the Tulane
in New
coach
Orleans,
now
but
going
that's
to
a red
Houston,
hot
did that have
SMU
any
team.
effect on the game?
Yes.
Was that known at that time?
I was impressed they did it with their
Who knows?
backup. Yeah, exactly. I was impressed they did it with their backup quarterback.
Oregon State looked dead in the Civil War.
Yeah. You
I
always ask
think
that
so.
questions. Yeah, Greg and
think
I
it
pointed
was.
that out last week about Jonathan Smith going to Michigan State from Oregon.
Yeah.
We are scarred from the 2002 Iron Bowl where we watched Trey Smith run all over our really good defense and then learned a few days later that Dennis Franchione was jetting off to fucking Texas A&M.
I mean,
Does anybody
the
like Texas
tradition,
A&M
the
besides
tradition is
Texas
cool.
A&M? Let's just ask that.
You know, when I
Okay,
was a
good.
kid and lived in Texas,
I
the
actually,
whole
as a
Wrecking Crew
kid, they were
defense, that was
weirdly
pretty
kind of
cool,
like my number
but
2 team. I think just because they were similar colors and maybe I knew like the Bear Bryant lore or something. Yeah.
Yeah, because that.
But then you kind of actually learn about them and how they're just a cult disguised as a college. And then,
Oh, yeah. No, they absolutely are. And
Yeah.
the second cringiest thing I've ever seen was them introducing their new head coach. That was awkward.
Oh God, yeah, yeah, Jesus. But all right, so while we're talking about SMU, Liberty did win Conference USA, so they finished unbeaten. So now the next question for the committee is: it going to be Liberty going to the New Year's Six, or is it SMU? Because SMU's strength of schedule, their strength of victories, all of that is infinitely better than Liberty. Yeah, but Liberty is unbeaten. SMU has 2 losses.
Florida State.
But you just proved you don't have to be unbeaten for it to matter.
That's true. I will say the only plus of Liberty getting into the New Year's Six is that they play someone like a pissed off Georgia, and oh man, if that one would be the funniest game to watch, or a Florida State. So yeah, I'd rather see SMU get in because I think they'd give someone a better game. But and also, fuck Liberty.
Wow.
We're talking about horrible universities. So that's interesting. What else we got? Of course, that great Pac-12 title game Friday night. We mentioned Washington jumped out big early. Oregon fought back, and it was another tight affair. Washington made late plays to seal the game. Boise responded to their coach
on the road.
So obviously, there were some problems in there. We all thought it was kind of surprising when Boise fired the coach, but Mountain West champs for the first time in a good few years.
Good win for them.
Sunbelt Troy, a big
Yes.
Yeah, on the road technically for Boise. Yeah, Troy in the Fun Belt, 28-point fourth quarter. Huge, good win for them over a pretty hot App State team.
And by the way, I think I'm the only one that picked that.
You are. I had App State. I think Blaine had the over or under in this game. Yeah,
And it was
they
they destroyed that.
Under.
Yeah. But I think I think I put it in mind too. Like if game day is there, then
Movie
obviously App
Gallery
State's winning,
Stadium.
right? Because there's something weird about game day being there and App State pulling it out. So, when game day wasn't there, I was like, yeah, I feel like Troy's got this. Plus it was at Troy, so
Yeah,
you can't.
and the house formerly known as Movie Gallery Stadium.
Yes. Yes. Hey, and John Summerall, Huntsville natives, their head coach.
Yeah. I think that's it for the title games.
Man, epic hire.
Yeah. Of course, the next big thing, coaching carousel. We mentioned that Houston officially hired Willie Fritz away from Tulane. A good hire for Houston. Tough loss for Tulane. The guy, he really got that program up to where it's tough because Tulane's one of those academic schools that it's tougher to get the better athletes, so to say. But in that region with all of that talent, not just in the New Orleans area, but Louisiana, you're right next to Texas. Yeah. That should be a power. They should be a power mid-major every year. They should be like a Boise State where every year before the year.
Oh, it's super
exactly.
legit.
Yeah, we talk about teams that could ruin somebody's day. I mean, Mal, you saw it firsthand. Yeah, they gave your Rebels everything they could have with a backup quarterback.
Yes. And look, their new stadium is super nice too. Like I love the fact that they've yeah, I mean it's small, but it was loud. And so I'm really happy for them that they are on that upswing. I'm actually really surprised Mississippi State didn't go get him. I thought that's where he would end up. I thought he was going to end up his next job being at like a State or a Vanderbilt or something like that, because he's obviously proven he can go and do something with less money. I think when you have the Houston money that he's going to have now, like it's, Houston oil money is eventually going to come out at some point, but I think he's going to go do great things.
I mean, chances of Mississippi State sniffing the SEC title game, very unlikely. I mean, you got to look at Houston, that whole area. I mean, all the talent in the state of Texas, the market, the money. I mean, when Houston was winning, the fans show up. I mean, it's a perfect situation.
Yeah.
And the Big 12 is going to be a little different with Texas and Oklahoma leaving. So I think it's epic.
No, I think we touched on it last week when we talked about them firing Holgerson, but Houston is ripe to explode as a perennial Big 12 power. The money comes into that university. They've got a huge alumni base, and they got money. And it's talk about recruiting hotbed. Willie Fritz can do what he did at Tulane with the academic restrictions. He can absolutely kill it at Houston. And that recruiting, fertile recruiting grounds.
It's gonna be a few to stay
and he's
home.
going to be able to steal some like 5-star guys from the bigger, Texas, Alabama's, A&M, LSU's that come in there and have been taking all of those top Houston guys. They're still going to get their share of those best Houston players, but Willie Fritz is going to steal the one or two that make a difference. He's going to get a couple of kids that want to stay home. He's going to get like a 5-star quarterback or something that's going to make a difference.
10-2.
Houston is going to be in the playoffs sooner than later with Willie Fritz. Yeah, exactly.
James Madison coach.
Yeah. Did Indiana did announce who they've hired, correct?
Yes, Kirk Cignetti, James Madison, James Madison coach. Yeah,
that's right. And that one was a surprise to me because they owed Tom Allen a $20 million buyout.
Horrible move.
That was a surprise. Yeah, that they would ponied up that much money for their football program. And two, I'm a little surprised Cignetti made that move because that is a lateral move at best. I mean, you're in the Big Ten now. But James Madison, you're going to win so much more. And James Madison is technically, a newcomer and they're quote unquote a smaller school, but they have resources. They have a huge fan base. Like that's,
James Madison,
if we're talking about realignment, if we're talking about breaking away, if, you mentioned 96 teams, Mal, if you're doing that math, it's not going to be just our power conference teams. You're going to have to add some of these, mid-majors. James Madison is near the top of that list. Yeah. Of teams that you invite to come with you.
Easily.
Well, and I think
Other
too, even
Easily.
with that, you can even make the point that like, okay, Liberty, look at them, but I still think like if I'm looking at conference realignment,
Ooh,
I
never
think I
saw
go
that
with the
coming.
James Madison over Liberty
That's a
if those are
wild
my
one.
choices.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah, no.
We still don't have a line
Other
or a
big news from
quarterback
this week: Bobby Petrino going back to
because
Arkansas as
KJ's
their
in the
offensive
portal.
coordinator. Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to fix your offensive problems there, Arkansas.
Tomorrow it
But
opens.
it's funny. It's yeah
No,
for all the memes. That's going to be. Well, as I say, we will get to the portal here in a minute, because it is loaded.
well, I think. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So I think the thing you see with Arkansas there is I think their fan
He may
base
not
never
make it a
wanted to get
month.
rid of him, right? Like you didn't have a choice; you
I'm shocked
had
he
to get
made
rid
what
of
he
him.
made.
And I think they're in the mindset now of like, well, enough time's passed. They want Sam Pittman's not going to last there another year, y'all.
Yeah.
He may
I'd say,
not.
Watch your back, Sam.
That does sound very like if Sam
They
Pittman
got the
loses a couple early
25th.
games,
I think they're
He's gone.
ranked
yeah,
25th.
Bobby Petrino steps in and then he might be returned to their head coach.
No, I don't know.
Again, I don't think that the A&M
They should
offense
be that good.
improved this year. They did, but also, yeah, but I'm not sure how much of that was due to Petrino and not just like, oh, right, these are 5 and 4-star kids that know what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
San Diego State hired Colorado offensive coordinator Sean Lewis to be their new head coach, replacing the retired Brady Hoke. We'll see. San Diego State's another one of those mid-major programs that should be better than they are. They have their runs where they're decent, but they should be threatening to break into a playoff or a New Year's Six every few years.
Yeah. Syracuse hired Fran Brown, the Georgia defensive backs coach. So big jump for him. A great career move, right?
Yeah.
I think that's going to help him a lot with, well, especially with the ACC realignment. He's going to be able to go in and be able to recruit a little bit where they haven't ever been able to, I don't think. And I think he's going to have their defense ready to go and kind of take away a little bit of that ACC offense that people think is what they're known for. So I'm interested to see that one, how that goes out, how that works out.
Yeah, Syracuse, a tough
forever.
place to win, but it can be done. We've seen it. I mean, we were in the 90s. We were growing up. Syracuse was kind of a power. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know who you're talking about, and I
he
can't
was a-
bring him up either. Yeah.
I can't think of his name.
Yeah, it was him and old Jim Boeheim on the hardwood there, but they ruled the sidelines forever. I think it looks like Mallory's got a research face on right now. Is that what
I do. I was still looking to see who still has to fill head coaching positions.
I believe I have that right here. My other note: Oregon State did promote their defensive coordinator Trent Bray to full-time head coach. Still open head coaching jobs: Duke, Boise State, James Madison, Middle Tennessee State, New Mexico, Nevada, UTEP, and UL Monroe.
Oh, we're all sad to see Terry Bowden get fired from yet another job, right?
Nobody
Yeah,
likes to go
tragic.
through there.
Just terrible.
Hate it for him.
By there by accident.
Speaking of tough places, that's a tough place to win. In Monroe, that part of Louisiana is not the fun part of Louisiana. No, yeah, that's the yeah.
I think that they don't have anybody better.
So
yeah, I
let's
think. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think one of the retentions that I saw that I'm shocked about is Baylor. They kept Aranda, and I don't know how.
I think he's probably in that. He's probably in that Neil Brown seat where he's going to be the guy on the hot seat entering next season, and he's going to have to win about 8-9 games to because they were my surprise rebound team in the Big 12 this year, and they did not. Speaking of which, real quick before we get to the transfer portal, Greg, I saved our predictions for conference winners. Not as bad as I thought it might be. SEC, we both had Bama as our title. Greg, you called it over Georgia. I, of course, thought the Vols might actually take the step. They did not. Big Ten, Greg had Penn State over Wisconsin. Missed that. I had Michigan over Wisconsin, so we both missed the West. We did both have Florida State winning the ACC, but we had it over Clemson, of course, not Louisville. We both had Texas winning the Big 12, but you had them beating K-State. I had them beating Baylor, as I mentioned. Greg, you got Washington right as your Pac-12 champ. Like you said, you've been on them all year. You had them beating USC in the title game. I had the flip-flop. I had USC winning, so swing and a big miss there.
That's interesting.
American, Greg had Tulane, so almost. I had UT
there.
San Antonio. Maybe a couple years too early for them. And they're speaking of guys that have not left yet. Jeff Traylor's still
got their coach, so
the Roadrunners coach.
So stay where you're at, my guy. Win some more. No pressure's on.
Yeah, I don't see any big enough jobs opening. There's no the Duke job isn't worth it. Boise State's a lateral move. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I get you. Or the UNLV would be their game.
Yeah. Mountain West, we did both have Boise State winning. I'm sure neither of us predicted they would do so while firing their head coach. Yeah, no. Conference USA, Greg, you got Liberty, right? I had UTEP, so I don't know what I was saying. I don't even know where they finished in the standings. That's an interesting one. Sun Belt, Greg had App State. Close, I had South Alabama, who had a good year, just not quite that good. MAC, we both had Toledo. Close, but no cigar.
I had...
my playoff,
I have Alabama, Penn State,
Michigan, USC,
Washington.
Florida State. So I got 2 right. Greg, I actually don't have
Georgia.
yours here. Do you remember what you called for the playoff?
Because I had Alabama, Georgia going undefeated and playing both making the playoff with it. Only one losing. Yeah. So we both went with 50-50. Maybe, so not terrible.
Yeah, okay. So 2. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I think
and here's something I just saw a flash on the screen too that I'd like to talk about. What did y'all think of the WWE partnership with the Big 12 title game and getting the championship belts? Seeing, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I like it. I get it why they're trying to maybe appeal to a younger crowd, especially when you start looking at the fact that Game Day brought on Pat McAfee this year. So I think it was a smart move on their part. They're kind of making sure they still attach themselves to ESPN, keep that stuff going. So yeah, I kind of like it.
Yeah. I'm with Greg, wrestling fan. It's funny to see an old ass Undertaker up there giving a championship belts away and MVP belts. His wife, Michelle McCool, got to give her props too. I think a Hall of Famer in her own right.
Big
there with him. The biggest surprise to me was that they actually put the logo on the field. The WWE logo with the belt and all that on the 35-yard lines. I'm good for WWE, whatever. I'd rather them partner with ESPN than Saudi Arabia like they do. So, but that's another discussion. All right, going back transfer portal, we mentioned that. Just want to throw some names out. These are all quarterbacks that have announced that they are entering the portal. And again, they might stay, but a lot of them gone. Cam Ward, Washington State quarterback, that is an absolute stud somebody could get. Dante Moore, UCLA quarterback, freshman, had his moments this year, but I guess fell out of favor with Chip Kelly there. DJU, Oregon State quarterback, former Clemson quarterback. He has put his name in there. Riley Leonard, Duke quarterback. Grayson McCall, Coastal Carolina quarterback, a good small guy, sneaky good. Yeah, one of your dog's favorites.
Obviously.
Yeah. Tyler Van Dyke, Miami quarterback, former, NFL scouts used to love him. Definitely has fallen off, but that's still maybe he can be a reclamation project somewhere. KJ. And then Will Howard, Kansas State quarterback. that is a powerful list of just quarterbacks alone. I didn't even touch on running backs, receivers, skill players, defensive guys, Oh. Oh, yeah. KJ Jefferson has announced he is in the portal. There's some studs in that portal. So this is going to be another.
I think it's.
I know
fun.
not everybody's a fan of the portal and kind of the free agency coming to college football, but
I like it. I know a lot of old school people don't like it.
At least it lends some fun to the offseason,
but then you
seeing where
look at
these
it
guys are
too.
going to go.
I mean, folks were never mad when coaches just left out of nowhere. So I can't be mad at the players either. I mean, you got to do what's best for you. I mean, we have jobs, and if another opportunity comes and we feel that's better, we're not going to stay. So I can't knock a kid. If they feel like that's a better opportunity and that's going to get them where they need to go for their career, hey, more power to you. Hopefully it works out for you.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I had a guest on, Katie Hill. He, was recruited by Hugh Freeze, offered by Hugh Freeze. We fire Hugh Freeze. He stays committed to Ole Miss as a school. His mom told him, like, hey, you need to commit to the school, not the coaches. I don't think you see that as much now. I think he was an anomaly. But same thing, even before that, you could transfer as a graduate transfer. And so again, kind of going back to that whole career thing, but you had to go to a school, like if you didn't want to sit out, you had to go to a school that offered a graduate program that your current school didn't offer. So you can make an argument that that's a career move. But yeah, I mean, we change jobs every single day. Why can't they? And, maybe they get there and they think, oh, even academically, this isn't where I want to be. Like that happens. I transferred after my freshman year of college for academic things, and it's like, why can't we let them? Like, I don't like Tommy Tuberville and his whole, they have to sign a contract. Come on. Tuberville of all people does not need to talk about being loyal.
Thank you, Mr. Double Standard. To the max.
In the middle of the night and leaving your recruits at a dinner and come on.
Mr. What was it? The only way I'll leave Oxford is in a pine box.
Pine box. Yeah. Absolutely.
No. But yeah, that's a lot. I agree. Yeah, every word. Yeah, these kids have agency too, and they should absolutely be able to move.
The coaches,
no one bats an eye if
a
civic engineer major decides to leave for another school.
Re-recruit somebody or every year. Hey, you guys still good playing here with the transfer portal and everything else? Because they're still getting $10 million a year. It's their job.
Yeah. Absolutely wild. I guess no NFL talk this week, really, since it's so early in the day here. Nothing's really going on.
Been there for a while.
Greg's Cowboys got a good Thursday night win.
DK Metcalf had a field day
over a tough Seattle team. A little scary, but I mean, Seattle's a tough team. That's a tough team to play. Yeah, against y'all's defense, that's impressive. That one slanter pass he took and then just gone.
The fastest recorded speed in the NFL this year? 22 miles an hour? No, he's a beast.
That prompted a joke, within our group text that somebody said, imagine if DK and AJ Brown played on the same team.
Oh, wait. But they were never really healthy at the same time. That was
my response was DK just could not stay healthy in college. He couldn't. And two, Matt Luke was the wrong guy to have them, because if they were a couple years younger, or if Lane Kiffin was a couple years ahead of them, Lane Kiffin with those two on his offense, no, I don't want to, because that's a couple losses. I don't want to have Lane Kiffin with DK Metcalf and AJ Brown against Golding defense.
But see, the other thing you have to remember is the same time DK and AJ were there, we had Elijah Moore, who's with the Browns now, and we had Dawson Knox, who did not catch a touchdown in college. Think about that. Can you imagine a tight end like Dawson Knox and a Lane Kiffin? Oh, God, y'all. We'd put 100 on everybody every week, and then we just have to pray our defense could hold them to 99.
Yeah. But say I'd take y'all's offense every time.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that was our NFL news. NBA in-season tournament is down to the quarterfinals this week. And then the finals, like what, next Saturday, right?
And still lost.
I think so.
Comes all quick. Greg's Mavericks did something really weird and never before done yesterday. Went on a 30-0 run in the fourth quarter. Still lost.
But hey, it's this point of the year where it's still football season, and I was elated
Greg could probably
yesterday.
attest.
So
That's probably just life as a Mavericks fan the past few years.
About that right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's still the decision maker, but yeah, sold this.
Yeah.
Couple $1 billion they sold there.
So thoughts on Cuban selling his stake but still staying on to help run it?
Eventually, if Texas ever says yes to gambling, that they're going to build a big casino and have a new arena for the Mavericks. So it's all a big business deal. But well, they have a lottery. They just don't have casinos or anything. You got to go to Oklahoma.
Interesting. I didn't realize Texas didn't have a lottery. Okay. Oh, or Louisiana. Because the ones in Shreveport are super awesome and nice, right?
Oh, hey, we stayed at. Me and a few friends went out to South by Southwest one year, and we stopped in Bossier City and stayed at a place called Diamond Gems.
Yes.
And even though it was 4 of us, because you're poor 20-somethings to save money, I think we ended up with a honeymoon suite because we definitely had a hot tub in the room.
That is a hell of a
yes.
that I enjoyed, and somewhere floating around is a great picture of me very much enjoying that hot tub with a stack of empty Miller High Lifes behind me. I was
yes.
I was living the good life then. Yeah, that was a interesting place. There's a great song by the Turnpike Troubadours about Bossier City. If you're a country fan. Other sports, still waiting on dominoes to fall in the Major League Baseball offseason. Our WNBA finals are set, right?
I believe so. Look, I am all for women's sports. Obviously, I have a whole podcast and we talk about it and try and touch on it as much. But I cannot follow what they do and when their season is. It is so weird.
It is a very rare. Oh no, it's over. Hell, we're behind.
Oh yeah, it's over. Yeah.
Las Vegas won. Okay.
That's right, because Becky Hammond's got her second to the back-to-back. And then Pop went and she did the whole thing like a week week after they won it. That's right. Yeah. It's been a few weeks ago, y'all. There's been some college football things happening since then.
Yeah, we're a little. What's that? Oh, it's been since October. Really? I thought that maybe I've been looking at. I guess. I guess I've been looking at draft news coming up. Wow! I'm embarrassed. I might have to edit that part out the podcast.
It's going to be fun over the next couple of weeks with the portal opening up. See where everybody goes.
Other than that, nothing really else. Anything else you guys wanted to talk about in the sports world?
Then the early signing day will come. The new signing day, pretty much. That'll be this month. So, interesting month for college football. Even with the end of the regular season and the championship, waiting for bowl season. But December's turned into the hot month for college football.
Yeah, I think, the only thing, I obviously love early signing day. I think it's smart, especially now too, after COVID, you start seeing kids being able to do more classes online and at home so they can graduate early, get a spring in early, come in, hopefully make a little bit more of an impact. So I really like to see that for them. But I'm going back to, the selection committee and stuff. I mean, we still got to figure out who's playing the rest of the New Year Six bowls, and I think there are going to be some upset. Yeah, but I think you're going to end up. We're going to end up with a couple of teams that are unhappy that feel like they should be in a New Year Six, and they're not going to be. So I'm interested to see how the bowl games kind of shake out.
Playoff games, but I would.
Yeah, I believe
hopefully
that
they can
happens at
find us,
about 2:30,
Oregon,
a
Ohio
couple hours
State.
here.
I mean, please, that'd be a fun one. He deserves to go to New York. Yeah, send him to New York.
Oh, Heisman. Let's talk Heisman really fast.
There we go.
Does Bo Nix deserve to be in the finalist?
Finalist? Yeah. I think he
7.
deserves to go to New York.
Yeah. Does Jaden Daniels deserve to go to New York?
Numbers, I mean,
he deserves to win it. I don't think there's.
I think so too.
LSU season of all time.
Dude, you take Jaden Daniels off of LSU, and they're like Vanderbilt. They're trash.
Yeah.
But overall yards and everything, you gotta think if he had any semblance of defense,
he had better numbers than Joe Burrow. Yeah.
Yes.
To be honest,
but we're not talking about that.
Yeah, not as many passing touchdowns, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's not how it has always been until like the last 10 years.
Yeah, and that's we talked about that a little bit. That's a messed up part of that award. It's a give it to the best guy, one of the best teams award now, and that's just not how it should be, Yeah.
I would make the argument it started with Peyton. And don't get me wrong, Woodson was great.
As Alabama,
does Michigan do what they do without him? I think they do. Does Tennessee do what they do without Peyton? No way. And I think that's when you started to see it change. Yep. It's true. But who else did they lead?
Yeah.
So if Peyton strikes the Heisman pose, does he win it that year?
And that's the thing, yeah. Does he doesn't have that moment.
I know they beat him, of course, because Tennessee never beat him.
When they also, so that was
Tennessee
97, right?
Tennessee
did not make the SEC title game, right? That probably was another Florida.
Against, Nebraska.
I assume, Florida over.
Housed them. Absolutely housed them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
30-29 over Auburn. They won it. You're correct.
Okay. Oh.
And that's when he got up on the ladder and led the band in Rocky Top.
Yeah. Oh, he did that at Legion Field too. After a win over Alabama. Yeah.
Good God.
Rest in peace, Legion Field. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, it's still here, sort of.
Sort of.
Yeah, that's why I forgot that. Yeah, of course I would forget a Tennessee Auburn SEC title game. That's yeah, right. That's a misery. Yeah, that was the Mike DeBose first Mike DeBose season, or yeah,
yeah. Oh God, the Mike
time.
Eras.
That was that was the beginning of the dark times for Alabama. After they forced out Gene Stallings, what won an SEC title, won a national title, averaged 10 wins a year. Yeah, but I used to have a great book on that. I wish I still had it or could remember what it was called, because it was written by a player who played during that era and had a lot of inside knowledge about why, for whatever reason, UA presidents and athletic directors didn't like Gene Stallings, which again, one of the dumbest moves Alabama ever made. I guess you could do connecting dots, sliding doors to that eventually led to Nick Saban, but we could have still got Nick Saban, after Gene Stallings stayed for a few more years.
Okay, y'all, sorry. They're putting up a post that Jordan Travis put out on Twitter, and he says, "I wish my leg broke earlier in the season so you could see what this team is really about." Y'all, that's a leader right there. Man, that's,
If anything,
like we said, we feel bad. Yeah, we feel terrible for the Florida State players because they did nothing wrong. They did what they were supposed to do.
Fell off after the
it's just this system is wishy-washy.
It's broken.
It could have been. At first of the season, we thought, hey, the ACC might be a lot better than what folks thought.
True.
Right.
We said that. Fell apart quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now SMU
Yeah,
is
be
going to go
mad
in there
at
and
them
run the
not being
conference.
aggressive enough in expansion. Maybe if they get a UCF earlier or something, one of those teams, maybe, if they, all these, I think I said it. Well, going back to all that mess. Eventually, what's going to happen is when all these schools break away. Anyway, we're just going to go back to geographical alignments anyway. So
Oh,
in
yeah.
the end, we're going to get our old school alignments. But I think I mentioned it too earlier. Actually, yeah, that's what it was. Someone posted a video of the Texas A&M welcoming in Mike Elko, and I believe I said something like, "Dear aliens, please come and take me to the timeline where the Big East is still around and the SEC got Florida State and Memphis or something instead of A&M."
Yes.
What a day.
Yes, please.
Yeah, somewhere that's a thing. All right, we've been recording for almost 90 minutes now, y'all. Yeah. Let's go ahead and do our done up real goods. Mallory, what has been done up real good for you lately?
Oh man, I think the done up real good for me has probably just been the way that you've started to see game day, honestly, start to take on a little bit more of the social media aspect, starting to pull in younger viewers with Pat McAfee, those kinds of things. I think that they also did a really good job as Lee Corso has kind of gone down to kind of pull him off, not force him to be up there all the time. I know that when he would come off the stage, I think we all were afraid that like, oh crap, something had happened. But I think that we're going to see that this is the end of it for him. I don't think he's back next year. And so I think they did it the right way by letting him kind of bow out gracefully and a little slowly. And so
LSU,
I'll give them that.
and in the playoff. Doesn't get better than that.
Greg?
How about you? It's been beautiful. It is.
Stole my answer right there. That was it. That's my answer. It's a good day to be an Alabama fan. A good win. I was not as confident as 2021. I was confident that we were going to go in the SEC title game and win, despite the ugly Auburn game the week before, despite Georgia seemingly looking unstoppable. Then I was just like, nah, we got this.
They were still a hell of a team.
Yesterday, less confident, but I was like, we can do this. I didn't think that Georgia was. This Georgia team, obviously isn't as good as the previous couple years. And good too. Yeah. And this is also good to slow down a little bit of that. Georgia is about to surpass the Alabama dynasty talk, because I preach it all the time. But one thing that we as college football fans lack a lot of the time, 90% probably, is perspective. And once again, must remind everyone, Alabama fans included, that what Nick Saban has done, what we're seeing, what we're in the middle of, is unprecedented in the history of the sport. This is the most amazing run in the history of college football. It's not going to be easily matched, no matter how good Kirby takes Georgia to, and he's going to take it there. He's got to win 4 more national titles within the next few years just to match Nick Saban. Like we said, that's now 8 of the last 12 SEC titles have gone to Bama. Let's just slow down. I know everybody's got to get their clicks out and their think pieces and all that.
I mean, they still went on
hot
29
takes,
straight games.
Give it some room to breathe. It's a good wine. Open it up, let it breathe.
Still epic run. All epic runs come.
Just let Georgia have their success, because they're still a great team. We don't have to compare them.
It all started with David Pollock in last year's national title game.
SEC
and
record.
They gave him that stare, and that was the beginning of it.
And they come. Yep, that's who you have to thank, Georgia fans. Your boy David Pollock. He messed it up for everyone, all of y'all. He awoke the beast that was Nick Saban. But yeah, that does it for us, y'all. Mal, any plugs for the Stare Down? Anything this week?
Man, I think this week I'm going to talk a little Angel Reese. She's back. I'm going to dive into the Kim Mulkey history and how murky that all is. Mm-hmm. And I think, too, a little bowl preview. We kind of see where everybody's going to go. But women's basketball, I think, is really just going to be kind of our main thing. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening. So, yeah, we'll get into a little bit more winter sports. And we're going to talk about the No Fun League.
Nice.
I got a lot to say about the No Fun League. So.
Oh, interesting. All right. All right. And I guess congratulations are in order to you. I do believe you won the pick column this year.
Hooray! Beginner's luck total.
Yeah. I'm not sure yet what the final numbers were. I just know at that somewhere yesterday in the window, you picked a couple of the ones that I didn't. And you hit. So congratulations to you. Blaine, you'll bounce back next year, buddy. It's okay. We know you were better than what you showed this year.
It happens.
Yeah. Which is also, and maybe this will be the catalyst I can finally talking him into, or maybe not now, because he did so much better in the pick'em than he did the picks column. So I just hate the confidence points. I just want us to move that spread.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah. Or just outright winner and don't confidence pick it. Just let it go.
Yeah. That's fine by me, too. Who's going to win?
Have a good one.
But that does it for us, folks. Thank you for listening. Roll Tide to all you Bama fans out there. Sorry to Florida State fans, but also not sorry. We will see y'all later. Mal, Greg, take it easy, y'all.
Awesome. Y'all, too. Huge shout out to TD and Greg for spending an hour and a half of their Sunday with me talking and reacting live to the chaos that ensued. And we knew going into it there was going to be a fan base and a team that is absolutely deserving to have a shot at the national title. And there was going to be a team that was left out. I am so sad. It was Florida State. I still don't know that I can process all of my thoughts about it, but I hate it for those kids. They worked their tails off. When their leader went down, they all stepped up to show that it's not just about him. He even made the point that it is a team sport, and the entire team played their hearts out this season. I'm hoping the 12-team playoff next year will help. I don't know. It's yet to be seen. I think you heard we had some interesting ideas as to how we can ensure that it maybe doesn't happen, but who knows? I really don't think until we get 4 major conferences and the NCAA basically goes away that we're going to see anything that would remotely resemble anything that's going to be fair. So I guess we're going to see how it plays out over the next few years. On that note, though, it is time to wrap up the show. I know you're all probably tired of listening to me, so you can find us on social media, Twitter at The Stare Down Pod, on Instagram at The Stare Down _podcast, Facebook, The Stare Down. Stare Down is one word, guys and gals. Y'all are smart. Y'all know that. You can go look at the artwork and see. It's one word. You can always shoot me an email at thestaredownpod@gmail.com. And as always, go to thealabamatake.com. You can find blog posts and things that go along with this and every other show that the Alabama Take puts out there. It's always done up real good. And you'll also be able to check out the blog where apparently I won the pick'em. Who knew? I'm so excited. I've never done anything against the spread, and apparently it was beginner's luck my first year out. So to TD and Blaine, thank you. It was a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what next year holds, and who knows, maybe we'll do some cool stuff with the bowl games. But on that note, we're going to finish it up. There still has not been justice for Stephen Perkins in Decatur, Alabama. This week, a city councilman whose name does not even bear repeating because what he did was so low and so despicable, and the rhetoric that he is trying to push is absolutely not what the citizens of Decatur are about and what they're protesting for. They just want justice for Stephen. They want the officers to be held accountable, both on a policy level within their jobs and also at a criminal level if it is determined to be at that level. So the mayor this week will be holding the hearings to determine the policy portion of it. Aaliyah still has the criminal investigation, but to all of my Decatorites, do not allow that one city councilman to stir up the hatred that he wants. Stephen wouldn't have wanted that. He would have wanted love. And the way you love on him and his memory and Catrella and their babies and the remainder of his family members and his friends that are here carrying on his name is do not buy into that. Keep it peaceful. You will get your point across. I promise. Do not stoop to the level of the one city councilman. Let him talk whatever craziness he's going to talk. Maintain your calm. Do not let him be the button that pushes you over. You're smarter than that. We all have seen it. We all know what it is. So just let it be and continue to do and be the good people that Stephen loved so dearly of his hometown. And on that note, catch us later this week with a normal episode. And like I said, if you got anything, you know where to find us. So until then, sit back, relax, grab a drink or two, and thanks for listening to The Stare Down. Have a wonderful week, y'all.